Tonight on deck, we have the OFRF Nexmesh Sub-Ohm tank. What's going on, guys? I'm Tim.
I'm Crystal.
We're Fire and Air Reviews. Tonight we have the OFRF Nexmesh Sub-Ohm tank. Now, I've seen plenty of videos on this Sub-Ohm tank, and I was excited to go and pick one up for the purpose of this review and for my own personal use. Now, I've come from smoking into vaping, so did my wife. We were new to the world whenever we came across some smoke products from a local vape store. We bought the cheesiest and most cheapest box mod that you could find. Over the course of time, we learned what was good and what was bad. Personally, myself, I like RDAs, I like RTAs, but the simplicity and the practicality of a sub-ohm tank is just there. We have 3 kids. I'm a full-time worker. I'm a mechanic. So to be able to have a sub-ohm tank that I can just pop out, you know, a coil and throw a new one in, it meant a lot. It saved me a lot of time and a lot of headache. I know for the wife, it's more simplistic for her to be able to do that. Most of the time I wind up being the one that changes her coil for her just to set her up for the day or what have you. But so we went through several different tanks. Then the deeper I dove into this, the more I come to find better flavors with different sub-ohm tanks. One going from the TF V8 sub-ohm tank from Smock, having some disagreements and so forth with Smock's products. I moved on to other brands. Fell into the Fire Luke tank, and then from there the Mesh Pro tank, and moved on to the Falcon tank. By this time, Crystal caught up with me. She wanted a Falcon tank and fell in love with it. But as tanks have been progressing, the design of them, just the flavor keeps getting better and better. And so here we are with OFRF, which is now being rated in several different websites, several different reviews and reviewers, as being the #1 sub-ohm tank. So what we're going to do is we're going to drop it down to the deck. We're going to go through it. I'll tell you the little ins and outs, the details on it, and then we'll bring it back up to the top. Alright guys, so here we are. OFRF Nexmesh Sub-Ohm tank. This is the packaging that it comes with. The color and the website address there. On the bottom here you get, it's kind of got like a computer layout on it. First, conical mesh tank hashtag. There's this side. Obviously it displays the color. And OFF.com. Now let's take a look inside the box. Inside the box you will get your instructions. Pretty good detail. I really like how detailed they are. You get stickers. I really don't know why they included these stickers in here. Don't really see myself sticking these to anything, and that includes my mod. I'm not a big fan of sticking stickers on my car, much less my mod. But, and here we have a card explaining your coils. On this side it's explaining for your stainless steel coil. And on this side is your A1 coil. In the box underneath those, if I can get it out, is your tank. An extra coil. And your bubble glass. Set this off to here. And inside here is your O-rings. Extra O-rings. As this sits right now with the straight glass, you get 4 milliliters of juice capacity in here. With the bubble glass, you get 5.5. Pre-installed in this is the 0.2 A1 Nexmesh coil. It's conical. Wattage range is 55 to 85. Recommended is 75 to 85. I personally myself, with this particular coil, keep it about 75. It seems to be a sweet spot on it for me. And the other coil here is your stainless steel coil with a temperature range of 350 degrees to 540 degrees. Now I can tell you, upon the other tank that we got for the review and for personal use, I used this first and it lasted me a little over 3 weeks. After that, then we stuck the conical coil in there, and both me and the wife tried that coil out, which she presently has on her mod right now. And even with the conical, same thing, just phenomenal flavor. I was, like I say, I was stuck on the Free Max and the Mesh Pro, the Fire Luke and the Mesh Pro, and then we switched over to Falcon and then the Falcon King, and just the flavor kept getting better and better. But this one, I do have to say, where a lot of places have rated this as a #1 tank with the flavor, if you look at it, it's just a beautiful tank. You got an airport there, an airport there, and an airport here. So that's 3 airports. It does have a stopper on it. You can turn it that way, it stops, and you can turn it back. Obviously it's adjustable in between. They have like this little grate here that you can use to hold your fingers, grip it a little bit better. I know for someone like my wife who has a bit of arthritis in her hands, something like this to grip onto definitely helps gripping the tank to take it apart. On the top here, if you look, you see this little arrow. That's where you would open the tank. The force on open it can be pretty tight. My wife does have a little bit of a difficulty doing this. For me, it's not so much. It's a nice snug fit. You ain't really got to worry about it coming open. On top here, you have an 810 drip tip. It's got a O-ring right here. And then if you look inside here, you also have an O-ring in there. Pretty tight fitting drip tip. Now I can tell you that with the other tank that we were using, this little piece right here actually wound up ripping. And it's due to, let me grab a bottle here. It's due to trying to stick the bottle into your fill port. And what happens when you use a big bottle like this, top of the bottle hits this drip tip. Now it's one thing if you can easily take the drip tip out, and then you can be able to tilt the bottle over completely, sticking the tip of the bottle into the tank. But you can't. I mean, you can take the drip tip off, but it's such a pain in the butt. And the more you do that, the more you're obviously going to wear out the O-rings. So the best thing that you can do is get a smaller bottle like this to transfer your juice over. Keeps you from hitting that drip tip. If I can show you what I mean within this other tank here, if you see, and it's got a little bit of oil there, but you can see where this piece has already started giving away. There is a crack right there. I can't really see it on the camera, but there is a crack within this piece here. Now when you first get this, if you were treating this with some care and you were using the correct bottle, you might not be able to rip that. You might save yourself from damaging this, prolonging the life of it, and saving yourself some headache or worry. I think that they put that there so that you don't have to worry about if the top did slide over and slide open, that no juice would come out of it. And there's been several reviews showing that someone has filled it up, tilted it over with the top open, and no juice came out. Awesome design, awesome idea. If they can just figure out a way of sliding the cap open a little bit further, I think that that's maybe a starting point. I don't know, but overall, the aesthetics of the tank, aesthetics of the tip, a lot of people don't like how it's got this beveled end, beveled bottom here, where the drip tip meets the top of the tank. I don't really necessarily focus on that. I want something that's practical, something that does look good. Someone ain't gonna be looking at the top of my tank, to notice that little gap there. I don't really understand the reason why they did that, but I really don't care at the end of the day, because if it's got good flavor and it looks good, which it does, then that's the biggest current concern for me. Like I said, inside here, go ahead and open this up. Inside, you got your pin here. On the bottom here it says Nexmesh off, Nexmesh Sub-Ohm tank. And then here is your coil. You will put your finger under here, and it just pulls out. As you can see, there's your inside of your tank where the coil slips in. Let's go back up here to the top. You see that there? And this does come apart. Just unscrew this. This is how you would change your glass. Just take it apart like that. There is an O-ring here, so you don't have to worry about anything. But when you go to put it back, sometimes it's best to put a little bit of oil, a little bit of juice rather, around your O-ring here to slide it back on. I might wind up having to do it myself. Nope, it went on good. And so what we'll do from here, we'll go ahead and put this back together. Alright, here we are back on the top, guys. And here it is, sitting on top of the SUB-OHM Nabu. Final thoughts of this. Also, I need to let you know that these come in several different colors. You got black, stainless steel, gunmetal, blue, gold, and rainbow. Both of the ones that we've got are black. The wife already has one on her mod. She's using the Aegis. And we are sucking, the juice we are sucking on tonight is Keep It 100 Crunchy Squares in my tank, and she is doing the Yummy Vapor Gordo. Or excuse me, Gorudo.
It's like a sweet potato. It's really good.
And mine's more or less a
cinnamon toast crunch or something.
Yeah, cereal Cinnamon Toast Crunch cereal. So I'm going to let my wife speak on her thoughts on it first, and then I'll give you my final thoughts.
Well, I love the tank. I really, really love the flavor that comes out of the tank, because that's my biggest thing, isn't like how big of a cloud I can blow, you know, or anything like that. It's definitely about the flavor for me. But I think he mentioned about me having arthritis in my hands. It's very difficult for me, and I don't know if it's just because we've had this particular tank for a little bit of time now, and maybe it has gotten a little rougher with use. It might need to be taken completely apart, I don't know, and cleaned.
Well, yeah, that could be a possibility, but
it
I was
is
noticing
hard.
this one's still the same.
Oh, really? Let me try that one, just out of curiosity. Oh, yeah. It's still difficult for me. Difficult for me to open. Not so much to close, but to open it's pretty difficult. But the flavor is worth it. I mean, I'll struggle with it if that's what it takes to get that kind of flavor. But I think there's definitely something that could be done about that within the company. But I love everything about the tank, really. I mean, I don't really have any complaints about it. I like it a lot. It's probably my favorite tank so far. And I've had many different tanks, and I've smashed a lot of them too.
That's another great thing about this. If you've seen Jay Hayes' video, and I look to him and Matt and Mike Vapes, Rib Trippers, I've learned a lot from them watching a lot of their videos. As a matter of fact, the wife probably has gotten pretty sick of me watching reviews from them, but I use them as an educational tool. And within Jay Hayes' review of this particular tank, you see him take a hammer to the tank, and the glass, actually it's more of a plastic, I can't remember the name of what it's called, but it's a plastic type of material, and he could not break it. I invite you to go take a look at the video if you so choose to, but the build quality on it, I have found, I didn't see any blemishes within the machining of it. It's just a truly great looking tank and great performing tank. If I had to rate it, which I told myself I wouldn't rate things, I'd try and give just pretty much a pros and cons. Now, I've already spoken about the one con that I did find about this tank, which is the top, where it needs to be able to open differently, or the drip tip needs to be able to come off a little easier.
Yeah, it's really annoying trying to get, like, my bottle is, can you hand me it?
Well, that's my
not
bottle,
yours,
same
but
size.
it's the same bottle. But it's really stupid to sit there and try, if I can get it open. It's really dumb to try to sit there and get it, like, it barely goes in there. You're not even sure if you're getting it in there, honestly. But luckily there's that membrane there, so if it's slightly in there, the juice isn't going anywhere. So. But
again, that would be the reason why that membrane it's got a slice in it now. So it's pretty much not non-valid, no reason to be there because of the slice in it. Yeah, it's not going to hold the fluid.
It's probably non-functional in this tank at this point because that happened.
So again, if I was to give my rating on this tank, flavor-wise, I would say a 9. Build quality, the styling and everything, I would say that's a 9 too. Practicality of it, I'm going to have to lower the rating there because of the top and the purpose. That membrane is there for a reason, and it's there to keep the fluid from coming out. If something happens to that, there's no way to replace the membrane either. So if something were to happen to that, well, then it has no point. So I'm going to give that part of it a 6. Like, I'd really like to see them update that to a different way of being able to feel it, or the top open up, whatever the case may be.
Yeah, I think it's a great feature, but the top needs to open differently.
Yeah.
In order to accommodate certain size bottles.
Right.
Of juice.
So, outside of that, babe, what would you say you would rate it at?
I would give this tank, I would give it a overall rating of a solid 9. Yeah. I really like the tank. I really do. It's my favorite tank so far. Yeah. Out of all the tanks that I've had, it's my favorite tank for sure. So I would rate it overall 9. I just have the few issues with it. Mainly just the opening the lid is really difficult for me, but I have limitations and not everybody does. So that doesn't affect most people probably.
I can tell you we've been using this particular tank here on Hermod for about a month and a week, maybe a month and a half. And again, we started off with a stainless steel coil that's in there. And it just, the flavor was awesome. And it eventually came around a time, even when we changed it, we could have made it last a little bit longer. Obviously it's taken away from the flavor and everything, but it still had flavor there to produce.
Yeah, once I knew what the flavor was like and it started to diminish, I was like, nah, I'm ready for a coil change.
So we went ahead and changed it. Now we're still working on the second coil that came with the pack, the conical coil. But I'm just overly impressed with both of the coils, the life of the coils. So from here we're going to call it a night. My name is Tim. It's my wife Crystal, and you are watching Fire and Air Reviews. Please come on back where the Naboo, how do you say it? I don't know. But come on back, we will be reviewing this next.